when I started to think about my own body as a body of water and how I was then connected through this hydrofeminist lens, started thinking about how I was connected to other bodies, it really started to challenge, well, what counts as a body and what counts as a body of water? I mean, the beautiful thing, at least in the English language, about this term, bodies of water, is when you say it to just, sort of person on the street, the first thing they'll probably think of is a body of water, like the Pacific Ocean or Lake Michigan or the Aral Sea. That in the idiom is what a body of water is. It's a geological or a geographical body. But of course, as you've just noted, we are all bodies of water, right? And how that just like bursts through and punctures any anthropocentric notion we have of ourselves and of the world around us. And I think that's important because anthropocentrism works on both how we see ourselves and how we see quote unquote nature. In an anthropocentric view, these things are separate from each other. One has feeling and sovereignty and rationality and culture and language, and the other is mute backdrop, and sometimes imbued with some sense of malevolence or, in terms of natural disasters or something like that. But in general, it's something that we just can use as a resource to be mastered, right? So just thinking of ourselves in that very simple act, all as bodies of water, is a beautiful way to just throw that anthropocentric ideal out the window. And when I started to think about this question, are we all bodies of water? I started going through all the bodies I could possibly think of to see if I could come up with one that wasn't a body of water. And, obviously we are, 80 to 90%, 60%, 70%. It really depends on your age and your gender and many things like that. But we're mostly water. All living biological entities are mostly water. There are some, catfish that live in the mud in the desert that might reduce themselves down to about 50% water in the dry season, but we're all still mostly water. And then we can think about the weather and the geology around us, lakes, rivers, clouds. Those are all bodies of water. I have to say I did come up a little bit short when I started to think about things like bitumen and fossil fuels, like oil, as in, petrol that we are pulling from the ground, is hydrophobic. It doesn't have any water in it, which I think is in itself a very interesting thing to think about. The things that don't have water are also what are through our manipulation of them, killing our planet. Then again, if I think about those fossil fuels and something like bitumen or black oil, what did that used to be? Well, those are, the fossilized remains of animals and plants that lived, eons ago. So they were once water. So even that, in a way, is a body of water. And if we think about, living on this blue planet, when we really get down to it and we think in a deep time view, there is no body that is not somehow beholden to water. And what a call to responsibility that is.